Look, guys, $1 million is not a lot of money. It's not. It's not. Stop making $1 million and buying a car, a really nice car. Stop doing it. Stop going ahead and, getting that $1 million and then going ahead and blowing it on vacations. Stop getting $1 million and then spending it on all this other different type of stuff. $1 million is not a lot of money. You can lose that in a second. Let me explain. What's going on, guys? So I wanted to record this video real quickly. I've been wanting to record this for a while, but I've been kind of debating on it. But I want to explain to you why $1 million is not a lot of money and why I have not blown my money on an expensive house or expensive car. I have a Benz that I bought a while ago, but I haven't blown it on any super fancy thing. And let me explain why you don't want to do that. And let me explain why $1 million isn't a lot of money, because it's not. The thing is, when you make money, especially with the internet, your money can literally disappear in a second. Your business can disappear in a second. These e-commerce guys who are spending this money, spending money on going ahead and, buying cars and stuff like that. The thing is, the problem is, if they don't have a legit business, if they don't have a legit brand or a legit product and they're drop shipping things, their success does not last very long. They have to work really hard to find a product. That product will work for a short period of time. Then they have to find a new product, and then they have to hope that it'll work. And, it's just not a sustainable business, right? It's not sustainable long term. Facebook changes one algorithm, Instagram changes one algorithm, and your business is screwed. Google changes the way it identifies a website's SEO, and boom, your business is screwed. In the internet age, when you have a business, it takes one thing to destroy your business, one algorithm change. Now here's the next thing. When you spend all your money on houses and cars and stuff like that, you're not reinvesting it back into your business. The way that you make a business really grow is by reinvesting back into that business. Successful people invest 90% of their money. They're like the richest people, the richest of the rich people invest 90% of their money, and they use the 10% that's left over for whatever else, for the cars, for the nice clothes and stuff like that. And that's really how I'm thinking. I'm thinking I want to spend 90% of my business, 90% of my money back into my business, or 90% of my money to create new businesses, to start new businesses with the money that I'm acquiring from my business. Reinvest in that business and start new businesses with that money. At the end of the day, the reason why I started my agency in the first place is so that I could use that money to fund things, to fund new businesses that I'm more passionate about. Because helping restaurant owners is not something I'm super passionate about, I'll be honest with you. I just want to get my business to a point where it's, it's at a good sustainable number that I can continue to watch it. I can watch my basket, continue to, help it grow, but then spend that money on something that's a bigger vision. And then I'll create something bigger. And then after that, I'll probably create something bigger after that. My course is bigger than my agency. And then with my agency, the revenue from that, I'll invest, 90% of that back into the course to make it better and better and better and better. And then eventually after, a year or two, then I'll go ahead and I'll invest in something even bigger. And I'll start something even bigger than the training program, right? So that's how I see it. That's my plan. That's what I want to do. And the thing is, spending money on a liability, which is something that costs you money every single month, is not going to allow me to do what I want to do. People ask, Tristan, why aren't you driving like a Lamborghini? Why aren't you, buying a bunch of really nice things? Why don't you have a big house and stuff like that? Why don't you buy your own mansion because you were living in the other Build Your Empire mansion? And the reason is because that's not my vision. My vision is to start a bunch of businesses, is to keep building bigger and bigger businesses and have the biggest impact possible on the world. The thing is, I realize when I die, I'm not going to remember the cars I have. That's not going to matter to me. The clothes I have isn't going to matter to me. I mean, I love suits, but that's not really going to matter to me when I die. You know what is though? You know what's going to matter to me? The impact that I've made on the world, right? So I want to keep making more and more and more money so I can keep investing in the impact that I can create in the world. And at the end of the day, I really suppose it depends on what your why is. And one thing that's really dangerous is, times are changing Things are just changing in the world. Changes happen so quickly. And if you've developed your skills, right? If your skill is running ads, that is the skill that you have. That is your skill. That is why your business makes money, because you know how to run ads. Then I have bad news for you. From a long-term perspective, you will be in a really bad position if 10 years from now, the only real skills you've developed are internet marketing skills. I'm not saying the internet's going anywhere, but what I'm saying is, as things change, as the environment becomes more competitive, who knows what's going to happen 10 years from now? Who knows? We might not even use phones. We might use VR headsets. I don't really know what's going to happen in the future. I have no idea. But what I do know is that there are certain skills that are going to stay. AI is replacing a lot of things. AI will replace Facebook ads. There will be bots that will buy ads instead of humans because they use data and they're able to read data better than any human. I believe that that's something that will happen. And a lot of the smartest people I've talked to, like my buddy Dan, for example, who's taken a bunch of companies to $1 billion, that's one of his concerns. He believes that that's going to happen. And he encourages me, he's like, Tristan, you got to stay focused, right? You got to stay focused. You got to keep grinding until 10, 20 years from now, you have a 9-figure nest egg sitting in your bank account. Like that's what you want to focus on. He's like, all these other guys who are going out and they're focusing on partying, they're focusing on, traveling a lot, they're focused on going all these places, they're focused on enjoying a childhood. These guys will run into some issues. They are putting their business, they're putting themselves in jeopardy, their future in jeopardy. Spending the money on, the really expensive car, the $250,000 car, you are putting your future in jeopardy to some extent. You could be spending that same money back on your business. Now, I'm probably going to buy a Maserati soon, but that's going to be like $50,000, $60,000, which is not that expensive. It's not a $250,000 car. So anyway, guys, that's a quick rant for you. Why $1 million is not a lot of money. Reality, it isn't. Making $1 million in business, having $1 million business is a tiny business. That is a tiny business. In the realm of business, $1 million is looked at as not a lot of money. And I learn, I spend a lot of time learning from the richest people to ever live. I'm reading a book right now called The Four, which is about Google, Apple, Amazon, and crap, I can't think of what it's called. But anyway, I'm reading about the richest companies in the world and in Google. And the thing is, if you read the story of like Warren Buffett, you read the story about, Larry Page, you read the story about Jeff Bezos, they didn't see their business as being big when they got to $1 million. In fact, they looked at their business as being disgustingly small. Like all these billionaires, they're focused on going to the moon. They're focused on reaching billions of dollars. It's like having $1 million business is having a small business. I work with these restaurant owners that have $1 million restaurants. That's like not a lot of money for a restaurant. That's like nothing, right? That's a really small business. So having $1 million is a small business. Having a $12 million business is a small business. Having a $100 million business is a small business. That's the reality. Once you get to the point where you're hitting like 500 million and above, that's when your business becomes a big business. That's when you start to make real money, and that's when you start to grow a real business. So right now, what I'm really relentlessly focused on is figuring out how can I go ahead and build that $1 billion business, that $500 million business that leaves a real dent on the world. Not a $1 million business that barely scrapes the surface. How can I create an empire that's going to last for a really long time and that can become a giant company? And the thing is, the way you create that type of business, if your goal is to create that type of business, that is not to spend your money on all these crazy cars and stuff like that. Jeff Bezos is driven to work every single day in a Honda minivan by his wife. Warren Buffett drives the same Cadillac he's had since like 2005. Elon Musk drives a Tesla. So it's not about, and then, you know, Elon has bought like really inexpensive cars and stuff like that in the past. But anyway, it's not about that, right? You can start buying that stuff once you've had a real business. But $1 million, $50,000 a month, you know, my agency that's doing a little above $50,000 a month, that's a tiny business. Like, that's disgustingly tiny. It seems big because, you know, I'm 20 years old, so it seems impressive, but it's not. It's not a big business. I'm not impressed by it. Other people shouldn't be impressed by it. You shouldn't be impressed by it. You can learn from me because I can help you get there, but don't see it as being something that is, you know, giant. When people start to buy like really nice cars and stuff like that, really just, you know, nice houses, mansions, whatever, after they start to make a couple $1 million, that kind of tells me that they've slowed down, that they've kind of peaked a little bit. Is kind of what that tells me. Because you got to understand, when you buy a Lamborghini, in order for you to make the most of that Lamborghini, it takes a lot of time. It takes time to, you know, maintenance, it takes time to drive it. When you buy a new car, you're going to want to spend like an hour a day, 2 hours a day going out and driving it. And that's 2 hours that you no longer are spending on your business. Or if you buy a really big house, then now you got to spend money on maids, and that's less money you can put back into your business. So when you really think about your business from a long-term perspective, and if you want to grow something big, then stop focusing on $1 million. Like, $1 million is nothing. It's not a lot of money. My agency is doing $50,000 a month. That's literally a baby. It's a goddamn baby. It's a tiny business. It's nothing crazy. But you know, that's how you want to focus. At least that's for me. For me, I want to build something big. If you want to build something that's really big, that lasts a long time, and you want to have a legacy, and you want to make a giant impact on the world, then, you know, your money is better spent reinvested back in your business to grow something that's big and that lasts. That's my opinion. Let me know your opinion down below. If you thought this video was interesting, or, you know, you agree with me, whatever, like, subscribe. I'm going to be posting videos probably like 3 or 4 times a week, or as much as I feel like it. It might be more than that. Probably won't be less than that. And follow me on Instagram at Suited if you don't already, like Suit ED. And then I will see you in the next video.